This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeremy Wolf.
Hello, friends, family, great community. Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Wolf, of course, and today we have a very special Good Neighbor. It's also Friday today. It might not be Friday while you're listening to it, but it is for us, so I'm going to enjoy the ride here. Our guest today is Lauren Peffer, and Laura actually joins us from L. Turner Law, and she is also currently running for Broward County Court Judge. So I'm really excited to get into this for a couple of reasons. Number one, her law firm works in an area that I have not yet interviewed a guest on. It's animal rights law, which is very interesting as an animal owner of proud owner of two lovely dogs. I'm super excited to get into this and learn about what she does. And then also her running for county court judge. Always a pleasure to interview someone running for office. So Lauren, welcome to the show.
Hi. It's nice to meet all of you.
Yeah. Happy to have you. Yeah, we'll get them on later. So okay. Without further ado, why don't you start off by talking a little bit about L. Turner Law, what you do there, and then we will go from there.
Sure. So we started L. Turner Law in 2019. When I graduated law school, I was working during the day and going to school at night. So when I actually graduated and I just had the one job for just the 12 hours a day, I had this huge gap of time that I was used to being awake for. So in 2017, we started a nonprofit called Popo Pit Bulls. It is a rescue that has grown to be the second largest partner to Broward County Animal Care and Control, and it has a few different divisions now, including Popo To Go, which transfers animals out of the overcrowded shelter into other states where, believe it or not, there is a wait list for people who want pets. And it was through that experience that I started sort of getting acquainted with the shelter staff and adopters and their animal issues. And so when I started L. Turner Law, those were some of my first clients, people who are having trouble having their Staffordshire Terriers living in their condo complex, or people who are running into ADA issues. And it's kind of like when I got my first dog and like 3 years later, it hadn't starved to death. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to work. Like that is what this law firm was. Although it turns out there's an animal law section of the Florida bar. There's a whole chunk of us dog lovers out there that are doing it.
So when you went to law school, did you already have your sights set on this specific animal law, or is that something that kind of transpired later? Like how'd you end up there?
Accident. It was an accident. So a happy
accident at that.
A very happy accident, because I sleep great at night. So when I graduated law school, the first place that hired me was a place called Cooling and Winter, which does like debt collection on behalf of the banks.
Exciting.
It gave me a lot of experience, right? You're in court. It's high volume, so you're in court a lot. So I did cut my teeth and learn a lot about civil procedure. But I told you I was working during the day and going to law school at night.
Yeah.
I was working in construction. I was in pre-con doing estimating and things like that. So ultimately, I thought I wanted to do construction litigation. So when I finally got hired after graduating and getting some experience at a construction law firm, I thought this was going to be this great fit. And it turns out I was awful at it. Just awful. I was awful at it, and I didn't like it, and they didn't like me, and the whole thing was a disaster. It's just a different area of law. It's a slow-moving animal. So I was very happy to start the firm and fall into animal law, which, like I said before, is just a niche and a blessing. And I really like my clientele.
Right. So you have to help me understand, because I've heard of animal law before, but I've never heard.
What is it?
I've never researched it. I've never spoken with anybody that practices it. Like, give us an overview. What exactly is animal? Like, I got in my mind, like I'm thinking you're in court and like the dog is sitting next to you in the courtroom and there's a judge there. Like, what's going on there?
I have had a parrot in the courtroom before. Judge Natasha DePrimo required the parrot to be present.
Polly want a pardon?
I mean, sort of. Yeah, it was actually a fraudulent inducement case where they had sold this 10-year-old male parrot and told him it was a juvenile female parrot. So, and he had high cholesterol to boot, poor parrot. So, but that was just one case. I mean, animal law really is everything. It's wills and trust. There are people who, did you ever see the Aristocats movie? And the old lady left all of her money to her cats, and the butler got jealous, and so he got rid of the cats so he could take the loot. I mean, that can't happen in the state of Florida, but people do want to make sure that their pets are taken care of. So pet trusts have become a thing. It's divorce. Pets are considered property in the state of Florida. So it's equitable distribution. A lot of what I do is lemon law. So pet stores that are buying animals from not reputable breeding programs, that are selling it's around Christmas. We get really busy because all these young kids have gotten puppies that are now sick or sometimes even dying. There is some throwback to my old high volume debt collection experience, because a lot of times these people buy these dogs on like a credit. Some of these pet stores have private credit cards, or they finance them. So what's already a very expensive dog, $5,000, becomes $25,000 after their 6-year repayment plan is done. Jeez. And that is not an exaggeration. Vet med mal, grooming negligence, boarding malpractice. It's everything.
Yeah. Interesting. What's that?
And it's all awesome. It is. It's all awesome.
Very cool. So let's go back a little further. What initially inspired you to pursue a career in law?
In my house, you could be a doctor or you could be a lawyer. Those were the acceptable options.
2 options. Yeah.
And I get a little squeamy around blood. So we just went which worked out fine. I read quite a bit, and I'm very poor at math, which I think applies to most lawyers. So it was a perfect marriage. I also listen to a lot of podcasts that keep me pretty well looped and educated, like yours. And there's one called More Perfect that I like a lot. I don't know. There was always sort of an attraction to it besides the expectation. So that's the route I went, and I'm so pleased.
So there was never anything. This is basically from childhood. You had your sights set on being a lawyer.
Well, I wanted to work with animals as well, but when I started the rescue, I checked that box. So turns out I could do both. And sleep.
So now fast forward. What is inspired you to seek the judicial position at this point in your career?
So it was half good timing, because Broward County has 4 very good judges that have been on the seat for a long time, retiring. So there was sort of an abundance of open seats. The seat I am running for is Terry Ann Miller's. She's stepping down after a very long time. So big shoes to fill there, should I be blessed enough to prevail. And also I'm pregnant with my second child, and I have a 1-year-old at home. So I just couldn't think of a better time to run for judge.
Yeah, it's not like you have your hands full or anything. Come on.
You know what? Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. And, the Florida bar requires you to have at least 5 years experience. I've got double that. And, just a couple of the judges had asked me to run for their seats. I won't tell you which 2, but 2 of them had sort of said it. So it was one of those situations where if everybody's telling you you're dead, lie down.
Yeah. I like what you said. Don't put off till tomorrow what you could do today. I just, the older I get on, I always say on the north side of 40, I'm 44 now. Time just seems to be going by quicker than ever now. Everything's blurring by. The older I get, the perspective shifts, and it's a stark reminder every day that I need to make the most out of my time here on this magical ride that we're on. And because there is only now, right?
One of my nephews came to visit me last week, and I hadn't seen him since he was a baby. So I fully expected this 3-year-old to walk into my house, and he was 12, and I was so disappointed that he had grown. Like, how dare you? That time keeps marching.
Absolutely. So can you maybe share some key experiences from your legal career that you believe have prepared you for the role of judge?
Sure. So there's an abundance of pro bono work that has sort of helped me broaden a lot of my horizons. One of them was a woman named Lovey Lovegood. Her story was on a YouTube channel that's put out by the Humane Society. I encourage people to watch it. She was one of these victims who bought a puppy that on credit, and now it was upwards of $26,000 for what was a $3,000 dog.
That's crazy.
There's been a proliferation of a variety of different law that has kind of come across my desk as other attorneys retire. They want somebody to take over their practice and their clients. So I've gobbled up somebody's probate firm while they retired. I gobbled up a family law firm. So really our firm is general practice at this juncture. I just have we shouldn't use the word specialization, but my focus in animal law. I'm on Help Me Howard a lot. So you can see all those on Channel 7. And the most recent case, I think that had like a 3-part episode, was for a dog named Precious that ended up going up into the appellate court. So it was administrative law, it was county court, it was appellate court. I think I filed a federal lawsuit as well. So just sort of organically, these areas and the growth of the firm and my personal growth have exposed me to a lot of different areas of law in every different sort of level of court. And when you sort of can put all that under your belt, I think that you're in a position where you can bring that experience to others and help educate younger lawyers. Not that I'm an old lawyer. I'm very I'm very young and lovely. So
indeed you are, Lauren.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just ask me.
How would you describe your judicial philosophy, and how do you plan to, I guess, apply it if elected?
Such a good question. So I heard something while I was in jury duty, of all things, like 2 months ago. And it was that nobody's going to the game to see the referee. And judges are like the referees. You need to be watching the game carefully and making sure that you call the balls and the strikes appropriately. You're hearing objections, and I think that that's accurate. This shouldn't be somebody, on an elevated seat in a black robe that's looking down. You're really not supposed to be the star of the show. You need to be listening and watching carefully and trying to assist and produce justice out of what is often the worst situation in people's lives, or extremely difficult situations. So fair, equitable, keep yourself out of the limelight, and do to the best of your ability what is right and what is legally called for.
Yeah, I could see how it could be difficult. Like, you really have to put aside your personal opinions on things and really be impartial and really put your ego aside. I could see how it would be challenging to do that, because we're human beings, right? Like, we see things from our own perspective. So it's very, very important to be able to view situations from others' perspectives. And yeah. Especially in this political environment, things are so spicy right now. In this particular. You think?
You just got to remember, it's not what you believe; it's how you behave.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I always try to, when it comes to like issues, like especially political issues, I always try to take the lens of like look, tell me what the issue is. Let's have a discussion around it, and then I'll form my viewpoint based on that, rather than coming in with a preconceived notion or I'm right because of this or because of that. I try to understand the other person's point of view, and then again have a discussion about it and have a debate. Like, I'm open to being, having my viewpoint shifted in everything, pretty much. That's one thing I've learned. I used to be very, very insistent about what I thought was right, and what I've learned is that I usually don't really know what's right most of the time, and so I'm always open for outside input.
I'm very convincible. And it depends a lot on what I'm reading. My mom sort of made us bring books with us and reading materials with us when we left the house growing up, and at some point that stopped being mandatory and started being something we enjoyed and voluntarily took part in. So when I started this adventure of running for county court judge, I started reading the Supreme Court biographies and autobiographies of past and present justices. And I'll be really emphatic about like Justice Clarence, and then I'll switch to RBG and my and these are polar opposites. But when you read their opinions or how they came to their decisions and their rationale, I mean, I very much get swayed. I'm like, that makes perfect sense. So, and that's probably the beauty of education and the continuing ability. And law, law is one of those areas where we're continually changing and adapting. The Supreme Court has gotten it wrong before. Look at Korematsu or Buck v. Bell, right? Like Japanese internment or mandatory sterilization of loose women. They can get it wrong. So, but it's good to understand how they got it wrong and what their thought process was. And
that's how we improve.
Yes. Keep your mind open. That's
trial and error, and then study past mistakes and things that have worked, and try to make things better. It's the best we can do.
Look at the world now. Look at the world.
So what do you see as some of the most pressing issues right now, currently in the judicial system, and how do you, I guess, plan to address them assuming you're elected from your seat?
So there's a program being run by Judge Diaz called the Street Law Program. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's going into schools, into the community, and he's teaching these kids about the judicial process, about procedure. Should you ever find yourself in court for a criminal or civil proceeding, who talks first, who talks second, what's an objection, what's the right objection? And he's teaching this to like very young kids. I volunteered to be a mock judge for this program several times over the years. And these kids are amazing. It's like incredible to watch, and they're so smart and they get it. And I think that needs to translate into a program for adults as well, because these people are walking into court and they're terrified. The judges aren't always, disarming. Sometimes it's very formal. They're not sure. They want an immediate trial. They think it's going to be like TV, and it's not. And they just don't have an understanding of the process. And I think that needs to change, and we need to make it accessible. The courts also, criminal court has, the ability to have, you can elect to have an attorney appointed to you. And certainly in Miami-Dade County, at least in the small claims courts, there's an abundance of translators to help translate for you. Otherwise, I think you're expected to bring your own translator or bring family with you. So translators, a broad education about the procedural process. The procedural process. Yeah. There's areas for opportunity and growth to make our court system better.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier, you have a 1-year-old and pregnant with their second. So family is typically, as with most guests on the show, as with most people in life, family is usually the cornerstone of everything. It's the most important thing. I have a 10-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. They just spent a few days with grandma and grandpa up in Vero Beach. And I was proud to hear that they got an A+ report on their behavior. They were very well-mannered. They did all the things that they don't do at home with their parents, right? They behave. So at least we're doing something right? They take out all the bad stuff on us, but they had a great trip up there, and they really are the driving force behind what I do. So with that being said, tell us a little bit more about your family, Lauren. So
I married a man named Travis, who I've actually known for like 13 years, but we've only been married for 2 of those. He's like a great comedic force in my life. There's nothing that's really so serious that he can't bring it down a notch and make everybody relax again. And that has luckily been transferred to my son, who, he's in that phase where he's laughing at, that infectious baby laugh that just like gets in the paint. Yeah. Like that is my house right now. He is laughing at everything. The dog is funny. Tug of war is funny. Miss Rachel everything is funny. So, that's my 1.5. He's also just learning to swim, and he learned his animal sounds. He'll, if you ask him what a lion makes, he goes, wow. I love it. And If you ask him about the elephant, he'll do his little arm trunk.
You're not going to try to make the elephant noise?
It's what he does. So,
we'll spare the listeners on that one.
Yeah. No, they're incredible. This humor and happiness is sort of infecting the household. And on top of running the firm, running for judge and being knocked up, we also have started construction. So humor is so important right now. Yeah.
You're not playing around. Goodness. Well, yeah. I hope the infectious humor lasts, because they have something that seems to be approaching called the terrible twos. I hope that doesn't hit you.
He started the throwdown tantrum jam, and we're trying to ignore it and not give it attention, hoping that it will not continue. I mean, we haven't had like the Cocoa Puff breakdown in the cereal aisle of the grocery store yet, but there's definitely.
Oh, it's coming, Lauren. It's coming, Lauren. It's coming.
It's starting.
No,
Yeah.
It's going to be nothing but peaches and cream for you, I promise.
I will say, I wish I had known how cool kids were, because I would have started having them sooner. Like, my kid is totally cool. Terrible.
I always tell people that don't have children as a way to describe what it's like having children. It's like, as a human being, you have a certain spectrum of experience. You could have negative experiences on one end, and then obviously positive experiences. When you have children, that spectrum increases like 100-fold in either direction. So meaning when your child gets injured or something terrible happens to your child, it's just that much more devastating to you. And then when your child does something well and is rewarded and makes an achievement, whatever it is, it's that much more rewarding for you. So it just enhances the overall human experience.
When my kid would burp when he was a little baby, and I could get this so cute. Burp, I've never been so excited for gas in my life. Just, yeah, kids are totally cool. If you're thinking about it or not sure, just do it. Everybody was so negative when I was pregnant the first time. Oh, just you wait. That's what you get. Just you wait. You're not going to be able to sleep. Kids are totally cool. You get used to it, and it's worth it.
Absolutely. I agree.
When you cheer for gas, it's worth it.
So, I mean, running for judge, running a law firm, doing construction in the house, pregnant, 1-year-old. Do you have any downtime? Like, what do you like to do for fun when you're not like running a mile a minute?
Food Network.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of the Great British Baking Show. Yeah, like nothing bad happens. You know, they all get together.
All positive.
Somebody wins, you get to see them eat. Somebody loses. Like on the Great British Baking Show, if you win, you get like a pie plate. You know what I mean? Like that is some low stress stuff. That's the jam right there, because all day, every day can be heavy, especially in animal law. You know, these people get really passionate about it. They want to speak for, something that they consider usually as a family member, as a child. And it gets heavy. And so, yeah, Food Network, man.
So aside from watching Food Network, do you like to cook?
No. And it's not that I'm not good at it. It's just some people, like my husband, gets in the kitchen and it's like therapy for him. He'll run around it and he plays with spices and he like bakes things. That just I like to eat it.
I don't mind. I love cooking as long as somebody is wanting to clean up the mess that I make.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
But I do, like obviously I like the things I like. You have our own, inclinations towards certain types of food. But the older I get, like I like almost everything now. There's very few things that I won't eat. I love every different type of cuisine. My wife is from Peru. I love Peruvian food.
Get the tigre de leche, the ceviche with the tiger sauce.
Yes.
That's the jam right there.
It's good stuff. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry now. I'm gonna have to go get some. Yeah.
Right now I'm in cheesy carbs. That's what this baby craves. Cheesy carbs and Oreos.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, pickles and ice cream. They say.
No, cheese carbs. Not good.
I always like to ask this question of guests because I think in life we're often shaped by our most trying experiences and our biggest challenges. looking back through your journey, is there something that comes to mind, a life hardship, a challenge, something that you struggled with that at the time it seemed like the end of the world? It seemed like you weren't going to be able to get out of it. But now, fast forward, looking back at that, you can say that you're better off for having gone through that experience, or at least just grateful for experiencing it.
There's a bunch. I mean, there's a bunch. And I think that's part of growing up, and that's part of what shapes you. My dad, when I was like a little kid, when I was starting to hang out with friends and hang out with members of the opposite sex, my dad sat me down and he said, never put yourself in a situation where you feel like you can't get out. You could always get out. Call us, do something. And he also said, when things were bad, it's gonna solve one way or the other. It's gonna resolve itself. It's not going to last forever. Good, bad, or indifferent, it will work itself out. And once it does, then you can plan. And I'm so grateful for him for those two pieces of advice. There is never a situation that you can't escape from. You give yourself an out, and just know that everything is temporary and it's gonna flow. And when it does, then you can react and make your next step.
Wonderful words of wisdom. Took me a very, very long time to realize that. And I've become a lot better at recognizing emotions as they come up in the moment. And instead of allowing them to consume me and overtake my day, I just confront it. I almost engage the emotion. I try to have a conversation. Oh, there you are, Coco. What's up, buddy?
Coco!
Come over here, buddy. Okay, so I was talking before Coco got involved here. Here he is. Say hi to everybody, Coco, if you're watching.
Hi, Coco.
This is Coco. We love Coco. But I was talking about how I've gotten a lot better at recognizing emotions as they come up and not allowing them to kind of consume me and really diffusing them. And it's had a bit of impact on my life. So that's good.
Kids' TV shows seem to be a lot more like aware of it now too. Like Daniel Tiger and Bluey, they talk about like big little feelings and how to ride them out. Like my 1.5-year-old is watching breathing exercises with Miss Rachel to cope.
I love it. Speaking of breathing exercises, I'm going to an event, a breathwork event in Fort Lauderdale tonight. I think it's like a 3-hour long deep breathwork session that I'm going to. It's going to be crazy. I'm big into that kind of stuff, so I'm excited to do that.
That is some granola stuff there, Jeremy.
Oh yes,
that sounds like a nap to me. That's 3 episodes of Food Network.
I love the power of breath. It's incredible. If you've never done like a deep dive into a breathwork session, like a really, really deep experience, it's can be very transformative. So I highly recommend it.
I do like going to that yoga class where they just make you lay on your back.
That's your jam.
That's a workout right there.
I actually did yoga for the first time in my life, I want to say, not too long ago, and it was a good experience. I definitely have a lot of work to do in the flexibility department, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of thought it would be a little easier. It looks. I mean, it's stretching. No,
yeah. Or I'm intense. Just so intense.
Heavy. Like they were like, downward dog. I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
You got to get involved. I know. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they probably had like pregnancy yoga.
Yeah.
Get on.
Child's pose, corpse pose. That's the jam right there.
Okay, so before we wrap up here, leave us with one thing. It can be one thing that you'd like our listeners to know about the business, or just some more nuggets of wisdom, life wisdom, or the judicial, whatever. Hit us.
My campaign manager would say, "Vote for me." So we'll throw up. Please vote for me. My name is Lauren Peffer. I'm going to be on your August 20th ballot for the primary for Broward County Court Judge 32. But I will give you the same advice that I give the interns and the folks that are team members of mine at the law firm. And that is that you should be really happy when you walk into work every day. There is nothing quite as bad as getting up on a Monday and dreading your next stop or not being happy at work. There's no amount of money that makes being miserable worth it. when I left construction law, it was difficult because I thought I was making so much money, but I got to do animal law and start my own firm, and I make way more and I'm way happier. There is no reason to ever wake up on a Monday and dread your week.
Life's too short.
You're there, get out, just do something else, and vote for me.
So how can our listeners learn more about L. Turner Law? What's the best way to reach you guys?
So there is a website, lturnerlaw.com. I was very clever on that. And if you wanted to learn more about the campaign, there's a couple really good articles. The most recent was in the Daily Business Review. You can go to electlaurenpeffer.com. Or I'm pretty responsive to text. Shoot me a text. my cell number is public. It's on the forward of our website.
All right. Very cool. And we will, of course, throw a link in the description below to all of your contact information, more information about your campaign. Lauren, it was a pleasure having you on the show, getting a chance to learn about your story, your background. I wish you the best of luck moving forward. And I'm, hope everything works out in your favor, of course.
I really appreciate having you. It was through a couple of your former guests that I learned about you, and I've been listening to you a lot lately. So thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate the support. It's our pleasure. And thanks, as always, to our listeners for tuning in. And we will catch everyone next time on the next episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Everyone take care. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, Cooper City. To nominate your favorite local business to be featured on the show, go to GNPCoopercity.com. That's GNPCoopercity.com, or call 954-231-3170.